Welcome to Thesis Talks. We're really excited for everyone to be here today. This is a presentation that is presented by the College of Health and Human Development and a Camino grant, which is funded by the United States Department of Education. The purpose of the Camino grant is to provide career pathways in health services for graduate students in the College of Health and Human Development, with a particular focus on low-income, first-generation, and Hispanic students. Healthcare is currently the nation's fastest-growing employment sector, and here at CSUN, we are a Hispanic-serving institution. That means that about 60% of our students that are enrolled are Latino. Yet we don't necessarily see that same sort of translation to our graduate programs. Even though our graduates will go out and provide a diverse array of health services once they leave us to a very diverse population in Los Angeles, only about 5% of our graduate enrollment in some of our departments are Latino. That means that we have an incentive to provide a very prepared and diverse array of graduate students in order to meet the needs of the population when they graduate. The Camino grant will help us do that by providing a lot of opportunities and academic advancement for Latino and Hispanic students to give them increased pathways to better participate in healthcare services once they graduate. Now, one of the ways we wanted to do that with the Camino program is we wanted to give our students an alternative to the traditional conference presentation, and instead provide them a way to communicate their research and connect with diverse audiences in more informal and accessible ways. And for that, we have Thesis Talks that we're excited that you all will be joining us for today. Before we get started, we'd like to recognize a couple of folks. We'd like to recognize Dr. Sloan Burke, the Camino Project Director, as well as any faculty, Camino students, or staff that are here with us. Could you please stand and be recognized? There we go. Thank you for attendance and support. We'd also like to thank the Thesis Talks teams of Hillary, Caitlin, Kathy, and Krishna as well for their hard work, as well as all of the students who have put a lot of work and effort to their presentations today. So a round of applause for those folks, please. Of course, we'd also like to thank our judges who are here today to evaluate all of the outstanding work our students are doing and to help us with the awards assembly. We'd especially like to thank Interim Dean Abarask for supporting the event and for all of the support that we've had for the event over the course of its planning and execution. So we're pretty excited. Are y'all ready to hear about some of the amazing research our graduate students are doing? Excellent. Well, then without further ado, our first speaker is Jessica Zaragoza. She's a graduate student in the Department of Kinesiology, and her topic today is the elusive concept of flow and the key to happiness.
Take a moment to reflect on doing something that you love. When doing something that you truly love, do you feel as if you're completely consumed by it? Do you feel totally in control of what you're doing? Does time seem to alter so that it slows way down and you can visualize every detail of what you're doing? Or maybe time speeds up so much that after hours it feels as if no time has passed at all. Some people like to refer to this experience as being in the zone. This desirable so-called zone occurs at the sensitive crux of being in a challenging situation, yet feeling like you have the skills to meet the challenge of the situation. And the truth is there's a name for this state, and it's called flow. Researchers have even called flow the key to happiness. Now, it's a really great feeling to experience flow. But the good news is, if you're a researcher like me, we can actually measure it. We use a validated psychological test called the flow state scale. Now, the flow state scale asks people to reflect on an activity that they've just performed, and then to rate a series of statements on a scale of 1 to 5 to the agree to how much they either agreed or disagree with that statement. Some of the statements on the flow state scale include, I was challenged, but I believe my skills would allow me to meet the challenge. I really enjoyed the experience. Time seemed to alter. I was completely focused on the task at hand. Or, the experience left me feeling great. Now, the FSS, or the flow state scale, is a really great research tool, but it still doesn't give us the full picture. We want to look at what it looks like on the physiologic level for someone to experience flow. What if we can go beneath the skin and see what it looks like physiologically in some of people's most enjoyable moments? Now, we do this by looking at something called the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is the branch of your nervous system that operates involuntarily, and it has two branches. The sympathetic branch, or what people like to refer to as the fight or flight branch, and the parasympathetic branch, or what people often refer to as the rest and digest branch. Now, these branches don't always operate in terms of their namesakes, but they can sometimes have co-activation, maybe co-inhibition, or even operate independently of one another. Whatever the autonomic state may be, it's unique in different situations. So how can we look into someone's nervous system? Well, we have to look at peripheral measures. And a great peripheral measure for looking at autonomic activity is cardiac activity. Some cardiac measures that we can look at that are indicators of flow states are something as simple as heart rate. When somebody's heart rate goes up, we can assume that they have sympathetic activation. On the other hand, when someone's heart rate goes down, we can kind of assume that they have some parasympathetic activation going on. There are also a number of different cardiac measures that we can look at that are indicative of autonomic states. Now, this is great because it gives us a very good glimpse into what it looks like at the physiologic level for someone to either enjoy their experience or not enjoy their experience. But the sad thing is that not everyone can achieve flow with ease. Some barriers to achieving flow can come in the form of certain psychopathologies like dissociation or anxiety. Someone who suffers from dissociation often feels like they are disconnected from the world around them. They tend to lose a sense of self. They might feel that they are disconnected emotionally or even physically from their surroundings and their activities. So recall that achieving flow requires somebody to be fully engaged in what they're doing. Now, if this is a requirement of flow, then feeling disconnected is a very apparent barrier to achieving flow. On the other hand, let's look at somebody who might suffer from anxiety. Someone with anxiety has unfounded tension and vigilance in preparation for future events. They tend to be very apprehensive people. Now recall that another dimension of flow is to feel like you have the skills to meet the challenge of the situation before you. So if you are apprehensive and maybe focusing inwardly at your own inabilities and shortcomings, then anxiety is also a very apparent barrier to enjoying the flow experience and engaging in flow. Now, this is why the research is so important. It's important for us to understand what it looks like for somebody to enjoy their experiences. And this is the realm that my research delves into. For my research project, we look at dancers right here on our CSUN campus. We follow them through the course of their performances and their rehearsals. While they're performing, we ask them to wear a device called the LifeShirt. Now, the LifeShirt is a really fabulous research tool because it's a fitted vest that's connected to EKG electrodes that are then connected to a portable device that the dancers can wear while they're performing on stage. And the device simultaneously collects physiologic data on the dancers. So recall that cardiac measures are indicative of autonomic states. After we have collected cardiac measures on people, we can see what kind of autonomic activations they may have had. Now, all of our dancers are screened beforehand for having either dissociation or anxiety. So we can compare that physiologic data to whether or not someone might suffer from a psychopathology. Lastly, after they perform, we ask them to fill out a flow state scale reflecting on their experience while they're performed. So with all three of these components in place, it just gives us a beautiful global picture of what it looks like for somebody to experience flow or maybe not experience flow, or to what degree they might have enjoyed the experience. Now, my two main research questions go after this. I would like to know, is it true, in fact, that people with psychopathologies do have a harder time achieving flow than maybe the non-anxious or non-dissociative person? And also, what is unique physiologically, maybe about people who suffer from psychopathologies? And to what degree does this aspect interfere with their flow experience? Now, dancers aren't the only ones who have been known to experience flow. Athletes, musicians, and even rock climbers have been seen in the literature to experience flow on a regular basis. Someone asked me just yesterday if I think that anyone can experience flow. And the answer I gave them was yes. I believe that through research and really investigating what goes into people's enjoyable experiences can give us a great picture of how maybe proper treatments and therapies can be put in place for people who might suffer from psychopathologies. If flow really is the key to happiness, then it's worth investigating and getting to the bottom of this so that we can put keys back into people's hands so that they can enjoy all of their life experiences and lead truly happy and fulfilling lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. I had such an enjoyable time working with the students and their presentations that I feel that right now I'm in like MC flow, getting to work with everyone. I'd love to know how that happens. Our next speaker is Esmeralda Galaviz. She's a graduate student in the Department of Family and Consumer Sciences, and her topic is going to be about culturally competent responses to the challenges of dealing with renal failure.
The month of February is a very special month for me. It marks my father's 10-year anniversary. My father, Aurelio Galaviz, passed away on February 6th of 2006 at 4:30 p.m. Type 2 diabetes, along with liver cirrhosis, slowly devoured his body until the day of his death. It was very painful to see my father pass, but it is exactly what motivates me to become a registered dietitian and an active agent of change. I witnessed and shared his experiences with his healthcare providers, as I was often his interpreter during his doctor's visits. This is the common reality of many Latino families, where language barriers can be impediments to health outcomes. Upon becoming a registered dietitian, my goal is to address disparities due to language barriers of Latino, Hispanic, type 2 diabetes patients and their families. Type 2 diabetes is a major contributing factor to kidney disease and kidney failure. Today, I will address the need to provide culturally competent nutrition care for kidney failure patients and their families. Now, I have a question for you. How many of you have ever tried to follow a diet? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you were successful?
Association memory.
Not that very many hands. The thing is that diets are hard to follow. Now, imagine a diet for a kidney disease patient where your kidneys are not filtering your blood properly. And if restrictions are not followed, it could lead to detrimental outcomes. As chronic kidney disease progresses, lifelong changes that include dietary habits become a must. Restrictions of important minerals such as your sodium, potassium, and phosphorus become necessary. Minerals, of course, that we also know as, yes, your salt, bananas, beans, lentils, and everything else. Now, for a normal person, potassium is a good thing. But for someone with kidney disease, too much potassium can lead to a sudden and fatal heart attack. Too much phosphorus can lead to weak and brittle bones. The US Census Bureau estimates that by the year 2050, 1 in 3 people living in the US will be of Hispanic origin. Hispanics have higher risk of type 2 diabetes when compared to non-Hispanic Caucasians. Let's remember, type 2 diabetes is a major contributing factor to kidney disease and kidney failure. With the increasing Hispanic population, there's a need to provide culturally competent nutrition care and addressing language barriers, as this will improve the quality of care and we will have better outcomes for them. Now, cultural competence, it acknowledges the culture that you're serving. It could be anything from having posters to materials that show and reflect familiar faces, to having bilingual and bicultural staff that can relate to those patients. Acquiring cultural knowledge can be as simple as learning a few words in their native tongue. The research shows the following. Hispanic Latino diets are high in potassium, phosphorus, and sodium. Staples include beans, tortillas, tomatoes. This generous enchilada dish, is it making you hungry? What do you think? Yes, it's high in potassium, phosphorus, and sodium. Additionally, the research shows Hispanic low adherence to the renal diet as it restricts staple foods. This enchilada dish, no more, no más. And we also know that there is increased adherence to the dietary recommendations when culture is taken into account. Having knowledge of a patient's dietary customs and learning a few words in their native language can slow down the progression of chronic kidney disease. Given what we know about this problem, how can we solve it? Attending to cultural competence requires a small but significant change. From good morning to buenos dias. In the state of Arizona, Hispanics constitute 30% of the population, and there are over 600,000 Arizonians living with kidney disease. Currently, the National Kidney Foundation offers an English-only renal cookbook available to their patients. This is what we know. We know that Hispanic Latino diets are high in potassium, phosphorus, and sodium. We also know that there is Hispanic low adherence to the renal diet as it restricts those foods that they were raised with. And we also know that by making the material available in their language increases adherence to the dietary recommendations. My project focuses on making the English Renal Cookbook available by the National Kidney Foundation, not only for their patients, but for all. It's a very simple change. You would imagine that translating is easy, but let me just tell you that it's not. But the point is that a change so simple can have a tremendous impact. Remember the enchilada dish I told you that you couldn't eat if you had kidney disease? What if I told you that you can eat the enchiladas? What if you can eat them, but in a smaller portion? This is an example of how easy it is. It's a recipe card from the cookbook of the enchiladas showing the nutrition analysis. It shows the patient how much phosphorus, potassium, and sodium amongst other important nutrients in that recipe. Hispanics are the fastest growing and largest minority here in the States. Culture and cultural habits have to be considered when providing nutrition care. Reminiscing on my childhood, I was challenged with having to translate medical terms I was not familiar with. This often led to healthcare provider recommendations being lost in translation. We can help address healthcare disparities of Hispanic Latino kidney failure patients and their families. How? By providing culturally competent nutrition care and by addressing language barriers. It would be nice if instead of having children telling their parents the bad news, if the patients could read some good news for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Esmeralda. Trying to follow one of those diets that she mentioned, I had a fairly sparse breakfast, and now I really want those enchiladas. Be excited to know how to make them. Our next speaker is Yasame Demikin. She's a graduate student in the Department of Family and Consumer Sciences, and her topic today is about the relationship between knowledge about nutrition and daily practice.
Today is February 19th. We're 50 days into 2016. How many of you have made New Year resolutions? Now, how many of you have kept it? Most Americans make New Year resolutions. Now, I want you to think about your resolution. Is it healthy eating? Exercise? Weight loss? These happen to be the most popular goals. And when you make such plans, where do you go for nutrition advice? Do you go to your doctor? Neither do I. And why would I expect that? According to recent polls, less than a quarter of doctors say they've had sufficient training to provide nutrition advice for their patients. We live in a society where we idealize slim and athletic bodies. But in reality, 68% of adults are considered either obese or overweight. And diseases such as diabetes and heart disease are being diagnosed in children at alarming rates. So, we have diet books, we have celebrity-endorsed programs, and we have what seems like infinite amount of information on the net. But yet, we have an obesity epidemic. Is there a lack of information? I don't think so. I believe there's information overload, that people don't know what to believe. They don't know what to do. So where's a place where we can provide people basic knowledge of nutrition? I suggest the classroom may be a great place, which is the subject of my research. But before I dive deep into the details of my proposal, I want to give you a glimpse into why our society may be confused and overweight. This is Mr. Keyes. He is the man behind what are known as starvation studies. He's also the man behind World War II K rations. He graced the cover of Time magazine in 1969. And in this article, he discussed his observational study. He suggested that saturated fats may be associated with heart disease. Saturated fats are found in foods such as butter, milk, cheese, red meat, all the good stuff. No, let's fast forward to 1984. A new enemy arose: cholesterol. This extensive 10-page article was based on a 10-year study where researchers noted less heart attacks and less cardiac-related deaths in the experimental group that was receiving cholesterol-lowering medication. Mind you, this study had nothing to do with the effects of food on cholesterol, yet it was titled Hold the Eggs on Butter. Fast forward 30 years to 2014. Time magazine tells us eat more butter. This did not go unnoticed. It triggered many responses from different institutes, with headlines such as, "Is butter really back?" So, what are we to make of this? How do we expect the public to understand this? I suggest the classroom is a great place to start teaching people about the basic facts of nutrition. Now let me ask you, do you know how to read nutrition labels? Do you understand the meaning behind daily value? What's the difference between saturated and unsaturated fats? And what's their implication on our health? And whatever is gluten? These are a few of the many things students learn when they enroll in the Upper Division Nutrition course, Health Science 337. I've been an in-class student assistant for this course for the past 6 semesters. And I've had students come up to me in the hallways in the library to tell me their success stories. I've heard anecdotal reports of weight loss, healthy eating, and some just express pure delight in the knowledge that they've gained. This, of course, has inspired me to look a little deeper and investigate if there could be dietary changes that occur after students take this course. I'm going to administer a pre-test and a post-test that's going to evaluate students' knowledge and dietary quality. And after I do this, I want to see if they improve their knowledge. And if they do improve their knowledge, I want to know by how much. And if they do improve, do they sustain it for at least 6 months? To evaluate knowledge, I'll be using the Consumer Nutrition Knowledge Scale. And to evaluate quality of nutrition, I'll be using the National Institute of Health Diet History Questionnaire. I'm still in the early stages of my project, but I've been looking at literature, and it indicates improved knowledge does improve dietary quality by a small margin. For example, in a class-based nutrition education program at Midwest University, researchers noted decreased intakes of soda and increased consumption of fruits and vegetables. Even educational programs designed for the elderly have shown promising results. But are these changes sustainable? It's still unclear, which is why we need more research. I'm a nutrition major. I see myself as an educator, challenging and changing society one advice at a time. But as I'm doing this project, what I'm learning is that education is just one piece of the puzzle. Maybe our cues to overcome obesity should take some examples from smoking. Just a few decades ago, smoking was a public health crisis. But we've cut smoking by half between 1964 and 2014. This is because of education, public policy, and health campaigns. Our very own campus has implemented a no smoking policy. But unlike smoking, food is essential for our survival and nurtures not only our body, but is also a great unifier across cultures. And if we have too much of it, it could be our demise. We've tried many things to curb obesity. Policymakers have contemplated barring fast foods from opening near schools. We have the Let's Move campaign by the First Lady, Michelle Obama. We have soda ballots. School teachers are adopting the whip and the nay-nay to get kids moving. There's sad posters. You name it, we're trying it. Despite all the efforts flowing from different venues, obesity and obesity-related diseases are still on the rise. I have had firsthand experience with this. I've had firsthand experience with this battle. I'm born and raised in Ethiopia. When I came to the US, I was 15 years old and 110 pounds. By the time I celebrated my 16th birthday, I was nearly obese. As a teenager, I felt depressed and I didn't like the way I looked. But what I didn't think about was the health consequences that may arise. 80% of all obese individuals suffer from some sort of metabolic disorder, such as diabetes, blood pressure, or abnormal cholesterol levels. My battle started because of a change in my environment. I came to a world of fat and sugar abundance. But most of you are born in it. This is where public policy and health campaigns play a part to change our current food environment. And education is still one piece of the puzzle. And one place to start is the classroom. Imagine, what if we have nutrition courses that are not meant to be just informational, but also motivational? What if these changes, these knowledge changes, cause nutrition to change in students that will last for weeks, for months, or maybe a lifetime? What if we can stick to our New Year resolutions and live by the wise words of Hippocrates? Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine thy food. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. I have to be honest, I'm part of that population of folks that's not keeping my New Year's resolution to go to the SRC more often. I could probably use that class to get some better nutritional information. Now, so far you've seen a series of presentations that cover a variety of issues in diet, health, and exercise. Our next 7 presentations are all going to be about a similar topic. They're all going to be by students that are based in the 100 Citizens program here at CSUN. And we'd like to show you a video that will describe some of the amazing work this is doing with communities all over Los Angeles.
100 Citizens Healthy You at Recreation Park is a community-based movement with the intention of expanding the health and fitness culture within the San Fernando Park community. We will do so by providing our free structured exercise program that exceeds the weekly minimum recommendations for physical activity. Our program offers 3 different fitness levels and a senior group that can accommodate anyone no matter what your fitness is. For instance, we have the beginner group called Let's Get Moving. This group is tailored to provide all participants with an introduction to exercises. Within this group, they will learn the proper exercise forms, build a baseline of strength and cardiovascular endurance. The Moderate Active Lifestyle Group. After learning proper exercise technique from Let's Get Moving, participants will be led in a higher impact, moderate to vigorous intensity workout. Here, they will be challenged at a higher level in order to continue to see improvements in their physical capability. The Greater Intensity Performance Group. This fast-paced group is for those that desire a higher impact and vigorous intensity workout. This group is tailored to provide all participants further progressions and challenge their personal goals. And the Senior Group. This group is designed to help seniors and older adults maintain their cardiovascular health, strength, and flexibility. They are also continuously challenged with various exercises that improve their joint stability, balance, and coordination. The program is offered every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. All of these levels will focus on cardio, strength, endurance, core, and flexibility. In addition to exercise, you will receive nutrition lifestyle classes. The benefits of exercise are numerous. Paired with nutrition, exercise can induce a 5 to 7% loss in weight, reducing the risk of diabetes by up to 58%. Exercise also helps you feel more energetic, increase your ability to handle stress, and improves the quality of your sleep.
My heart wants to put me at the advanced group, but watching people do the planks puts me maybe closer to the senior group when I'm evaluating my own fitness. Our first presentation on the 100 Citizens is going to be from Christopher Ballon. And today he's going to be talking to you about the effects of progressive exercise programs within 100 Citizens.
I would like you all to take a second and think about how you like to help people. There are many different ways we help people, and I think we all have unique ways in which we like to do it. Such as providing moral support for a friend who has a tough exam coming up, financial support, we need some help making it through the semester, and maybe even some emotional support if that friend's exam doesn't go so well. We all have unique ways in which we like to help, and the list can go on forever, but you get the point. For my thesis, I have a system that I believe will not only help individuals, but entire communities. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a second, but first, I want to tell you a little story about myself so you can better understand my why. For as long as I can remember, I have loved to be active. As a kid, I loved sports such as football, soccer, hockey, baseball, and of course, basketball. As I grew older, I started to develop a real passion for training. I loved waking up when everyone else was still asleep and putting in those extra hours, pushing myself to my physical limits. In high school, I loved waking up at ungodly hours to go to the beach and work out. And even though I was probably doing the wrong training half the time, the passion was there. I used to love watching Nike commercials to get me pumped up. There's one in particular I remember where a kid got out of bed at midnight, he taped his mattress to the tree outside of his house and he started tackling it to get better at football. Or another one where a young overweight child is jogging down a lonely road. All you hear is the sound of him breathing heavily, the tapping of his feet on the asphalt. He wasn't going fast, but he wasn't stopping. Hard work and dedication. These inspired me. So after hearing these examples, you may have guessed how I like to help people. I love to motivate. It's a passion of mine, and I feel that I do it well. On a daily basis, I am motivated to motivate. Come on, push it. Let's go 2 more sets. Or what I find myself saying more and more these days, we got 30 minutes before the library closes, you better finish that problem. But I have a question for you. What happens when you find someone who is uninspired by you? I'd like to introduce you all to my younger brother, Vince. In 2011, Vince started having some health issues. One day he went to the doctor's office and was told that he was overweight, he was hypertensive, and that due to his sedentary lifestyle, he's classified as pre-diabetic. These are very scary things to hear about someone you love. So I did what I think anyone else in my situation would do, offered my help. I told him that we're gonna train around the clock, we're gonna change our diets together, that we're gonna beat this. But no bite. Despite my best efforts, I wasn't able to inspire him to make a change, and I felt like I had failed him. But instead of questioning my abilities, I doubled down and I rechanneled my efforts. I have since made it my personal mission to help others make positive changes in their life. As of 2013, the amount of US adults that meet the recommended amount of physical activity per week is 24%, roughly 1 in 4. For Latinos, this number drops down to 19%, roughly 1 in 5. Physical inactivity is one of the more serious but inadequately addressed public health problems that we face today. Diseases such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and obesity can be as much as doubled with physical inactivity. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And there are a lot more numbers and stats that I could rattle off at you right now to get you to understand it, but to keep things short and sweet, we aren't moving enough as a country to avoid preventable diseases, and it's a problem. Income 100 Citizens. Since I joined this program in 2012, I have not seen another that can make as consistent and as lasting an impact in communities as this one has. We not only give our participants the tools that they need to become more active, but also the skills and knowledge to help their families become more active. We try to improve our program every single chance we get, and we're not afraid to fail in the process. Famous UCLA basketball coach John Wooden once said, "Failure isn't fatal, but the failure to change might be." I take that quote to heart. I believe that if we're not doing everything we can to help these communities improve, then we have failed them. So, with the help of my thesis partners and graduate advisor, we reinvented our long-standing exercise protocol within the 100 Citizens program. We now not only exceed the amount of physical activity recommended per week, but we're now able to continuously improve all of our participants in a systematic manner. Our model follows one that is generally applied to athletes, but has been generalized to fit the needs and issues that face the general community today, things such as sedentary lifestyle and obesity. Our model first develops movement comprehension in our participants, then goes on to general conditioning, and then finally we work on our physical capacity. So whether your point B is doing a standard push-up for the first time in your life, or going from 40 push-ups to 50 push-ups, we're gonna help you achieve like never before. This past November, our team completed our first 11-week intervention. Participants came in as many as 3 times a week to join in on our 1-hour exercise sessions. Each session consisted of a 7-minute warm-up, 4 12-minute exercise stations consisting of upper body, lower body, and core muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance, and a 5-minute cool down. All we required of the participants to be able to join in on our study is that they first complete a pre-exercise evaluation to assure that a doctor's clearance is not needed before they begin exercising. That they complete our pre and post testing so they can first establish a baseline and then be able to track their changes throughout this 11 weeks. And then lastly, that they attend at least 50% of all of our exercise sessions. The variables that we measured are the push-up test, squat test, plank test, 12-minute walk-around test, as well as an exercise knowledge test. Today, I am very pleased to share with you all that we saw significant increases in every single group and every single variable tested. Remember when I said that those Nike commercials pumped me up? This is what pumps me up. These are tangible, real-world results being made in communities that need it most. And if you recall to earlier when I said that just under 20% of Latinos meet the recommended amount of physical activity per week, our program is 77.5% Latino. And not only do we see increases in physical fitness, but we also saw increases in perceived exercise knowledge. So our participants are getting more fit and they're feeling more educated. That's going to increase their chances they maintain these lifestyle changes and make them that, lifestyle changes. I believe that what we have at 100 Citizens is unique and is special, and that no one is doing what we're currently doing. But our work isn't done yet. As of this semester, we are now implementing our system of testing and structured exercise curriculum into every single park. But before my time is up, there is something you all need to know about me. I usually don't tell many people this, but in this situation, I feel that it's appropriate. I'm a sucker for happy endings. When the good guy gets the girl at the end of the movie, when the bomb is defused 2 seconds before it goes off, or when Bruce Wayne is seen by Alfred at the end of Batman eating lunch as a normal person. But I digress. I would like to give you all an update on my younger brother, Vince. As of last week, he is down 50 pounds, he's no longer hypertensive or pre-diabetic, and he exercises 6 days out of the week. This inspires me. Your dreams are a lot closer than you think. Sometimes all you need is a little motivation.
Thank you, Christopher. I have to admit, standing backstage when he went into trainer voice, I almost felt compelled to drop down and immediately give him push-ups. Although I'm definitely gonna have to progress. I'm closer to 1 than I am to 50. Our next presentation is by Jasmine Jasso. She's a graduate student in the Department of Kinesiology, and her topic will be focusing on using faith-based approaches to increase participation in the program.
Let's meet Charlie. Charlie lives in South Los Angeles. King Estates and Martin Luther King Park, MLK Park Jr., are in South Los Angeles near Exposition Park, where the population is 56% Hispanic American, 38% African American, and only 6% pertaining to other ethnicities. This population is characterized by low levels of education, about 40% like a high school education. This community in particular also has high rates of health inequalities. They are associated with ethnicity, race, and education, which puts this particular community at a higher risk for developing diseases. These diseases can be further aggravated and become life-threatening if there is no education and treatment. It became evident that 100 citizens would be a solution to this problem. It was important to have 100 citizens at this location. Why, you wonder? Well, our name says it all. 100 citizens. Our goal was to have 100 participants at this park. We are free for the community and for those who participate. We are also an exercise program that provides the CDC recommendations of 150 minutes of exercise. Our program runs Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So, how will we get 100 participants to join our program? Well, that is my job. Thinking back, how did our first program in San Fernando initiate this participation of the community members? Well, let me take you through my thinking process. In San Fernando, we did a few marketing outreaches to churches, and a lot of our participants came from there. They first heard of the program through their church. So, why not try the same method at MLK Park? Here we have Recreation Park, represented by the pink-yellow dot in the middle. Within a 1-mile radius, we have 12 churches surrounding the program. These are represented by the yellow dots. So by this, we can see that because of the close proximity of these churches to the park, there was a high participation of people who come to these congregations to our 100 Citizens program. So, now let's take a look at MLK Park. Let's see if this is a possibility there. A total of 42 churches surround MLK Park within a 1-mile radius. So is this possible? Can we go out and market our program to the churches near the area and have a high number of participants? Yes, it is. This makes my thesis effort of community outreach to faith-based organizations a possibility and a crucial part to ensuring that we have those numbers that we need at MLK Park. Luckily for me, my first church where I was supposed to reach out to was just across the street. My first initiation was to make contact with the church or reverend of the location, and then communicate with them what the importance of 100 citizens is. Following, we would schedule a date when it would be best available for me to go and present to his congregation and express what 100 citizens is, why it was brought to their community, and how they would benefit from the program being there. King Estates does not have many physical activity programs focused towards adults.
At MLK Park, there's the occasional Zumba class, and there's the occasional yoga class. But because of city budgets, these are not always guaranteed to be available for the participants. In addition, these programs have a participation fee. 42% of residents of South Los Angeles live below the federal poverty level, and this makes it impossible or very difficult for them to actually engage in these type of physical activity programs. Not to mention, Zumba, yoga, and similar activities are not fit to help become physically active for all fitness levels. Only certain people are allowed to participate. So, where is this community supposed to go get healthy? What options do they have? What resources did they have? What option did Charlie have? Well, the answer is 100 Citizens. Now that the program is out there, Charlie goes, since the beginning of September, he was our first participant at the program. He has become stronger, and he has become safe because he is stronger. He has expressed that he feels safe at the program because the students have helped him to become stronger, and also the students care for him. Before leaving the program, Charlie always waves to us and says, "Prays for justice and world peace." Well, we have the power to bring health justice to Charlie and to his community. There are many Charlies and Charlottes out there in King Estates. We have the power to bring this justice to their communities and help decrease the risk for disease. I am helping his community become physically active and helping his community have disease prevention programs. You and I have the power to bring this justice to Charlie and to King Estates. Let's do what's right and bring Charlie his justice and world peace.
Thank you, Jasmine. I gotta say, while I would like to increase my participation in exercise, my grandmother would love if I increased my participation in going to church. So it would be good if I could combine those two with 100 Citizens. Our next presenter is Stephen Mendoza. He's also a graduate student in the Department of Kinesiology, and today he'll be talking about using community outreach strategies as a way of increasing participation.
So let's start off with a couple of questions. I want you to clap for me if you've ever experienced personal change, such as changing jobs, changing majors, or changing cities. Now I want you to clap for me if you ever experienced change in your community, such as a new park, some graffiti being cleaned up, or an abandoned building being remodeled. Now I want you to clap for me if you have had a direct impact in changing your community. A lot less hands on that one. So, when you were in middle school or high school, did anyone ever write in your yearbook, "Never change"? What does that mean exactly? Does that mean they want you to stay the same forever? Stay young and never grow old? I don't know. But what I do know is that change means to become different. Well, what does it mean to be different? To be different means to set yourself apart from another, to take the leap, to trust your instincts, to not succumb to society's will. So when someone says, "Never change," do they not want you to be different? My thesis project is focused on changing the community of Martin Luther King Jr. Park by working with community organizations. But before I dive into that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and how I'm different. Personally, I like being different. I've always been different than most members of my family, and that's how I've always been. Unlike most of my family, I chose to go to college, and I'm the only one to receive my bachelor's degree. And it's not like I did not have anyone to follow. I had two older brothers. One dropped out first semester community college, and the other joined the gang, did drugs, and ended up in jail on 3 or 4 separate occasions. So I definitely had people to follow, but I didn't because I was different. I never wanted to follow the crowd, never wanted to do what everyone else was doing. Unlike most in kinesiology, I am not trying to pursue a career in physical therapy. Not to say I did not want to be a physical therapist, but I was definitely turned off when everyone in the major was doing the exact same thing. So what did I do? I changed my career path, and this change led me to my discovery of 100 Citizens. You have already heard what 100 Citizens is. I do not even repeat what the video or the last two presenters have already said, but I do want to emphasize one thing. this program is different, just like me. I grew up on the lower end of Sylmar, 5 minutes away from San Fernando Park. This is San Fernando Park today. Beautiful, right? However, San Fernando Park did not always look this way. I recently asked my mom if she remembers San Fernando Park when I was a kid, and she said San Fernando Park was bad. She said she never felt safe walking around, it was dirty with a lot of gangs, and she would only like taking us to see fireworks on Independence Day. Dr. Loy, who was my mentor, faculty advisor, and the creator of 100 Citizens, said that when the program started, there was abandoned buildings across the street, unfinished roads, and not very good activity at the park. Today, San Fernando Park has an award-winning pool facility, new apartment complexes across the street, and new programs for everyone. Park activity is up as well, and it is because of 100 Citizens. Rand Corporation did a study of San Fernando Park using a validated tool called SoulPark, designed to assess physical activity, and found that physical activity overall had increased in the park even on the days when the program was not running. Compared to the other parks nearby, San Fernando Park had 2 to 3 times the amount of physical activity, and even on the same days that the program was not running. Now this is Martin Luther King Jr. Park, or just King Park, located in South LA. This is similar to what San Fernando Park used to look like, except there are nicer facilities like the turf field, baseball diamond, basketball court, and tennis court. These are nice utilities that San Fernando Park has, or that Martin Luther King Park Jr. has, but are not utilized. Myself and my team go to King Park 3 days a week, and what do we see? We see gangs, we see drugs, and we see homeless making a home. Should we be concerned? Should we be worried? Hell yeah, we should be worried. You try going to an area that just last year had the most murders in the entire county, and you try not to be scared. I face challenges in South Los Angeles that most don't ever have to experience. I have a thesis project that is not like other theses, but why do I do it? Because it is different. It would have been easy to walk away, but this was such a great opportunity. The opportunity to start something brand new and to do what we did in San Fernando Park, bring change. Change can happen, but it takes an army of participants and an army of students leading the way. My thesis project is focused on changing the community of Martin Luther King Jr. Park and creating a new San Fernando Park by bringing 100 participants to the program by the end of August. This will be accomplished through working with community organizations such as Community Coalition, Portals, and a Community of Friends, or just ACOF. Community Coalition is a well-recognized organization that works with the public to create change in South Los Angeles. Portals provides leadership and programs for individuals who suffer from mental illness and or drug abuse. ACOF provides community housing, affordable housing for individuals who are homeless and or suffer from mental illness. The plan I have created is to attend community-based meetings led by Community Coalition every third Thursday of every month, attend meetings at Portals once a month at their weekly Tuesday member meetings, and contact ACOF to begin the process of building a relationship. By attending these meetings, I am creating a relationship with these organizations. That way I can learn their needs and wants. In doing so, I can provide them a solution to the problem of inactivity while also providing participants to the program. So far, the plan is going well. I've attended 3 community-based meetings and have created relationships with the attendees. Next step for them is to get them to the park while the program is actually running. For Portals, I have attended 3 meetings as well and have visited the facility prior to the start of the program to gather up potential participants. Next step for them is retention in the program. For ACOF, I need Community Coalition to bridge the gap between ACOF and myself. That way they know I am coming from a reliable source and not just using them. By attaining 100 participants, we will see increased activity at the park. Not just physical activity, but people just wanting to come from all around the neighborhood to play basketball, tennis, or just bring their children to play in the jungle gym. We have seen this in San Fernando Park. If the money went into the community, but if the park did not change, money would not have been put into senior living homes, new apartment complexes, or a new pool facility. The same can happen at King Park. This program is the beginning stages of change. I noticed when that happened overnight, but the more participants we have come out to the program, the more positive attention this park receives. Change will happen. The goal of the program is to create change. Change the community to become better than what it is today. Better meaning safer, rid of gangs, and dying businesses. Better meaning more parents, grandparents, and children. This program is a difference that will create change at this park because it does not succumb to society's will of staying the same. But we need an army of students willing to be the change to make a difference. Do not allow yourself to stay within the same mindset of, this is how it should be. Change is good. Being different is great. Be the difference to change the world.
Thank you, Stephen. I have to be honest, I was one of the folks that wasn't clapping when talking about change in the community, and I think it might be my extreme aversion to meetings in general. But seeing what Stephen can do with meetings to outreach to the community as someone who grew up in Sylmar, I'm starting to rethink my position. Our next speaker is Esteban Campo. He's also a graduate student in the Department of Kinesiology, and his topic today will be focusing on the combination of faith-based initiatives and community outreach to motivate participation in new communities.
So today I'm going to talk about how I, along with 100 citizens, are going to reach the potential of a community within South Los Angeles and many other communities across the nation. But before I do that, let me give you a little backstory on myself, just to give you an idea of how I got to this point and how potential has had that big impact on me. So Esteban, where do you see yourself in 10 to 15 years? Do you plan on pursuing a higher education? What is my capacity? Do I have potential? These are some of the questions that I was asked by many and by myself, and frankly, I didn't know how to answer them. As humans, we are all a product of our environments, and the choices we make stem from life experiences and those who influence us. What if I was to tell you that I am currently living a lifestyle and pursuing life goals that would seem otherwise based on my life circumstances and the experiences that I've endured? Now let me give you some perspective. Who knew that this first generation, Mexican American, from a low socioeconomic background, from a working class single parent household with 5 kids at that, would make it to see the day of being a military veteran and having a Bachelor's of Science degree? And now in graduate school. I did. So, contrary to my expected fate, I fought to live a better life, to achieve my goals by controlling my own destiny and empowering myself. I had faith in myself and my potential. So, potential, let me just help you define just a little bit. It's been defined as self-actualization, improvement, achieving one's greatness. I define it as having or attaining a better tomorrow. Now, to give you more perspective, let me give you another example of a perfect person who had faith and potential, but of course for a nation. Here, we have John F. Kennedy in the year of 1962. He was at Rice University, and he was giving a speech. In this speech, he wanted to persuade the American public to support his space program, because at that time, he believed that he would be able to put a man on the moon and return him back safely within a decade. Now, the notion was crazy. It was bold, but Kennedy did believe that this would make America greater. He believed in the potential of the citizens within the United States to make this happen. For a better tomorrow, not just for oneself, for others, but for the whole world. And this is what he said during his speech. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon not because it's easy, but because it's hard. So, as you all know from history, it successfully happened. We sent a man to the moon and returned back safely. And unfortunately, our president wasn't there to see it happen. So, this is part of his inaugural speech, John F. Kennedy, in the year of 1961, and it's a message that I've really followed in my adult life, in my military years, in my undergrad, my work with 100 citizens, and now in my graduate work. I do step back and I tell myself, ask not what my country can do for me, but what I can do for my country. So, I have 100 citizens. Where do I see it in 10 to 15 years? Do I see its potential? I do. I believe we can have this program nationwide. in less than a decade. Now, some people do think that I'm crazy, but do y'all think I'm crazy? Then I am in good company. So, why go to South LA? I've currently started the program in South Los Angeles, specifically in the Westmont, West Athens communities. And of course, well, why bother? You know what I say? Why do I wake up in the morning every single day? Why do I always have faith in my potential? Why have I always believed in that? But frankly, well, why did America go to the moon? Because 100 Citizens believes in the greatness of communities such as the ones in South LA. So, currently, health disparities are some of the greatest challenges that Los Angeles is facing. It is most significant within both the African American and Latino communities in the Westmont, West Athens communities relative to others in South LA. And in fact, within both of these different communities, they have the greatest rates of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, the greatest rates in adult and in childhood obesity. How many of you knew that the greatest rates for cause of death in South Los Angeles are cardiovascular disease and diabetes? Yeah. Well, fortunately, many of these chronic diseases and their long-term consequences can be maintained or delayed. Health behaviors such as increasing physical activity or just eating healthier can reduce the likelihood of attaining one of these diseases. So, here we have Helen Keller Park. This is my park, my community. The program will not work unless the participants in the surrounding communities believe in it and actually participate. This is where the outreach begins. So I had to step back and ask, how am I going to develop a successful outreach plan that will increase the rates of the participation rates at this kind of program? So I had to become culturally competent. I had to develop a community-sensitive outreach plan that intends to target the faith-based organizations and community-based organizations as well. Now, some of you may ask, well, why faith-based organizations? It has been identified that within the African American and Latino communities, the churches is very, very important. And current research has indicated certain key elements to make a successful faith-based intervention. And, just so you know, a lot of those elements are part of the 100 Citizens program. Some of those elements are providing a trustful and positive health value program, providing accessibility, having facilities to do these kinds of programs. But most importantly for our participants is providing this social environment with individuals that have patience for them. So that's part of the reason why they do love us. So what have I done so far? So far, I've currently established partnerships with community leaders, people who are highly respected in their communities, with some of the participants in our program who are churchgoers, and also some of which have their own programs within the communities. And with community-based organizations such as Community Coalition, the Los Angeles Metropolitan Churches, and First 5 LA. But a very important one you see on the end of the screen is Cal State Dominguez Hills. That's a key partnership because once us seasoned students that are currently there in South LA are graduated and we move on to what's next, they will create the sustainability of this program. Their kinesiology program will keep it sustainable because they will continuously train students to provide this kind of program. So, this is the easy part. There were previous steps that I had to take in order to get to the park level, to this point. I had to attend the initial partnership meeting with Community Coalition, assemble a team of South LA graduate students to go to South Los Angeles, order exercise equipment, identify a park, and of course, initiate the program. So you see, there were not any guidelines for me to do this kind of outreach. There weren't. I had to empower myself and teach myself, and more importantly, have faith in myself and my potential that I could do something like this. Because it hasn't been easy. So, neighborhoods can promote healthier lifestyles. And they can do so by having access to affordable and healthy foods and providing safe places for physical activity, such as, well, their local parks. So now, what role can you all have in having some impact in the world? I want you all to think to yourselves, what am I good at? What can I do to impact the world and cause some positive change? What can I do to have some impact in someone's life? Take that, have faith in yourself. Importantly, understand that you have the potential. It's been reflective on myself, and obviously with John F. Kennedy, with what I presented. And in retrospect, and in respect to our president, we choose to expand across the US. We choose to expand across the US, and not because it's easy, because we want a healthier and longer living tomorrow. And with you and myself, this is what I want you to follow. Alone, we can do so little, but together, we can do a lot more.
Thank you, Esteban. The question about what I'm doing in the next 10 to 15 years still terrifies me. But now I feel like I just need more faith in my potential to really believe that I can win the Powerball, or at least exercise more frequently, which is really what I need to do. Our next presentation is by Jade Fackler, and she's also a graduate student in the Department of Kinesiology. And what she'd like to talk to us today is about the importance of trust and safe passage in participating in exercise programs.
I want you to imagine yourself at home. Imagine setting out snacks on the kitchen table for your children. They're about to be home from school in just 20 minutes, and their school is just 1 mile down the road. Now imagine that you hear someone knocking furiously on your front door. It's one of your children, covered in their siblings' blood. Your child has just been shot. The headlines this summer read, "The deadliest August in Los Angeles in 8 years." Understandably, you'd strongly consider changing the locks, driving your kids to school instead of walking, and even moving to a new, safer community. Now imagine that you don't have the resources to do any of these things. This life is a reality for many of the community members living in South Los Angeles. To many, their individual health and well-being may come last on the priority list. So you may be wondering, how are we going to address these issues while also keeping in mind their health? Well, we may have found a solution. 100 Citizens has partnered with Community Coalition and Vermont Village Community Development Corporation, and they're just two of the partners that we have that we're working to address these health disparity issues. Community Coalition itself has reduced youth and gang violence by promoting and developing innovative programs to create public places that are healthy and safe for community members. They work to empower everyday residents to come together, find solutions, and take the lead in their community. Vermont Village Community Development Corporation is also here to help bring this to fruition. Their mission is to empower everyday residents and bring a new community image, spirit, and atmosphere. These approaches will promote youth and resident participation in leadership development, organize resident participation, yielding walkable areas in these communities, and also advocating health through physical walking, cycling, and while promoting community safety, increasing student attendance, and reduce the dropout rate among school-age youth. So 100 Citizens is working with Community Coalition and Vermont Village Community Development to bring exercise and create and make exercise a priority through social interaction and education in these communities. My thesis was to reach out to the local elementary schools surrounding Helen Keller Park. My first step was to reach out to the principals of the elementary schools. I sent out letters describing who I am, and from there, I targeted a 2-mile radius. And the reason why I sent it out on a 2-mile radius is because at that distance, we could still promote walking, cycling, and other modes of transportation, even when they don't have transportation of their own. Of those 6 goals, I heard back from 1. The Parent Center supervisor at 135th Street Elementary School scheduled a meeting with me, and from there I made my pitch. I set up bi-weekly meetings to create workshops at this elementary school. At these workshops, I demonstrated what exercises we did at the park, I gave them information on how to join, and I told them that you will see great benefits even when you start off slow. And all the parents at these workshops, they had this nod, this skeptical look in their eyes saying, you know what, this needs to happen here and it needs to happen now. But they're all afraid. They're afraid because they don't know where to start. They're afraid because they don't want to be alone. And they're afraid because if they don't, something much worse could happen. And I soon realized that, and so I told them, I was like, you know what, come to our program. See what it is for yourself. We're so much more than just an exercise group in the park. We're here to change lives. And I realized soon that it wasn't convincing them that exercise was good. It was convincing them to start. And it was for more reasons than one. As you can recall, those headlines I spoke of earlier, the deadliest August in Los Angeles in 8 years. South Vermont Avenue has the highest homicide rate in the county. It's also known as Death Alley. Crime rate here is 135% higher than all of California. And if you also take a look at this map, our park is located just on the other side of the 105 freeway. So something needs to happen first. Trust. Onamia Bryan is one of our participants at Helen Keller Park. She has been part of the community for over 50 years, and she was also a school teacher. So she knows where this community was, where it is now, and where she sees it going. She believes in our mission, and she believes that we need empowerment and change. Onamia has pointed us in the direction of other leaders in the community, and she's there to help us bring all of this to light. It has been over a decade since Onamia has been able to get on the ground and off with no assistance. But because of us, she's able to do that with no assistance, and she's able to trust herself. She was able to trust us to guide her and to teach her how to do these movements correctly. And through that, she gained strength. And not just strength in her voice and her presence, because she had that long before she met us, but she had the strength and the trust in her body that she can rely on it to take her wherever she needed to go. So we can have such a tremendous impact on this community. If we get people participating in our program, if we get more people like you to come to a beautiful park, then where do we go from there? From there, we get city workers visiting the park, realizing what kind of life has been breathed back into this community. There are people living in this community that are ready to reclaim it. They're ready to move and they're ready to change it now. So you may be wondering, what does all of this have to do with exercising in the park? Well, let me ask you this. How many of you have gone through a workout program or just even a single workout? And then afterwards you're saying, you know what, I feel really good. You feel on top of the world, like nothing is impossible, like nothing is in your way. That is the kind of empowerment we want to see in LA. We want to prove to people that when you strengthen yourself, when you have confidence in yourself, you can move mountains. So it starts with one person. It starts with all of you, and the rest will follow.
Thank you, Jade. I have to say, when I look and I see the woman who wasn't able to stand off the floor for decades, and she's able to do it and get up and go out into her community, I feel like I can at least put down the Netflix and back away from the remote and get out into my community. Our next presentation is by Catherine Francisco, a graduate student in the Department of Kinesiology, and she's here to talk to us about strategies to produce better role models to encourage youth fitness at home.
So let's start off by thinking back to elementary school. For some of us, that may have been 10, 15, 40 years ago? Now think about the curriculum. What was your favorite subject? Maybe it was math, science, history, English. For me, it was PE. I remember my PE teacher bringing out the ball bag, opening up in front of the playground, and telling us to go play. I would play anything from capture the flag to baseball and basketball. But when it came down to the physical fitness testing, we weren't tested on things we could do with a ball. We were tested on push-ups and sit-ups and a sit and reach. Wait a minute, a sit and reach? So here it is, that big metal box, okay? Put my feet right up against it, my hands right on top of one another. Now I'm gonna push this metal slider as far as I can go. Okay, ready? Okay, done. So then my PE teacher comes over, takes a look at it, and says, 27 inches? That's great, Kathy, you passed the flexibility portion. I was 10. I had no idea what that meant. But now with the kinesiology degree, I get it, and I'm here to share the importance and for parents to understand the importance of it. FitnessGram. This is LAUSD's physical fitness testing for 5th, 7th, and 9th graders. It requires them to hit 5 fitness areas, which include aerobic capacity, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, and body composition. In order to pass the PFT, a student must pass 5 of the 6 areas in the healthy fitness zone. If a student doesn't pass the PFT, they may have to continue to take the PFT, which is the FitnessGram model, until they pass or they can graduate high school. So let's say student X is in 9th grade. He passes the PFT his freshman year, no longer required to take PE classes his junior and senior year, but then who's to say that he's gonna remain healthy? Isn't that crazy to think that that may be that person's last time performing any type of exercise for the rest of their lives, just because a report said they passed? FitnessGram results are sent to students and parents. Under Report for Parents, it states that parents play an important role in shaping children's physical activity and dietary habits. The report also states that it is important to provide additional opportunities to be active. Yet nowhere in the report states how they can do that or provide any opportunities where they can get that type of, where they can get that type of activity. So, think back to when you were a kid. Did your parents ever teach you how to exercise? That is what I intend to change. I'm here to bring additional physical activity options for the community for parents to become healthier role models for their children. South LA has 43% fewer resources than any other LA county around our area. By expanding to South LA, we have increased activity options, physical activity options, and healthcare resources. We have teamed up with THE Health and Wellness Centers to help all of our participants overcome any obstacles they may encounter throughout their process. Within the South LA community is King Estates, and within that is home to MLK Elementary School. They were tested last year using this FitnessGram model, and 56% of their students tested in the healthy fitness zone. 27% of their students tested in the needs improvement health risk category, and 35% needed improvement. That was due to lack of resources provided for the community. Research shows that South LA has 1.2 green spaces available for the community per 1,000 people, compared to LA County's 97.2. That is a dramatic difference when looking at the resources available for the community, such as recreational areas and parks that they can utilize. My focus is for parents to have similar goals of their children for physical activity. The CDC recommends 150 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity aerobic exercise a week. The CDC also recommends for children that they should be out there, the whole go out and go play, for 60 minutes a day. Parents, by joining 100 Citizens, will exceed their goals when they come to the park 3 times a week, and on the other days of the week, they can help their children accomplish their goals by teaching them how to implement exercise. Now, not only do I want to help these parents become healthier role models, but I also want to help nearby elementary schools implement their FitnessGram and help them achieve their goals. So, raise your hand if you have ever had any trouble helping your child or your sibling out with math, history, or science homework. What about PE homework? Never heard of it? Well, I plan on implementing a homework plan that includes similar activity goals for these parents and their children so they understand the importance of physical activity. Some of these goals will include brisk walking, jogging, stretching, and some other muscle strengthening exercises. By 100 citizens being at parks, these parents can come to our park for free. They're able to incorporate exercise in their daily routine. They'll be taught how to perform exercise properly, and in turn be able to reflect that upon their children so that they will be able to learn how to perform exercise. I am currently reaching out to 9 different elementary schools within my community. Within a 2-mile radius, we have Martin Luther King Elementary, which is less than 500 feet away from the school, which is my targeted goal. I have started by sending out formal letters to their principals indicating who I am, what 100 Citizens is, and what our intention is to do for the community. This is MLK Elementary School, which is the 500 feet away. My goal is for them to come to our program before they pick up their children because our program runs from 1 to 2 p.m. and they pick up their children at 2:30. So I've begun passing out flyers and also talking to their parents of the Parent Center, which hopefully will get them because I believe that they're a valuable resource in my outreach. So my final goal for everything is for my outreach to increase the participant rate at the park and to help decrease the students that are needed that are placed in the students in the need improvement category. My goal for 100 Citizens is to obtain all these participants that are parents so that these parents can reflect upon their children and they will become healthier role models for them. My biggest thing for parents is that I believe they are an important factor in a child's life. They are one of their biggest role models. Like the old saying, monkey see, monkey do. If a child drinks a Coke, they want to drink a Coke. If their parents play basketball, they want to play basketball. So let's make PE your child's favorite subject. And the best part about it, we're free.
Thank you, Catherine. I gotta say, I'm really happy that in my daily life, the 2 words flexibility test don't often play a role. I'm pretty sure I couldn't lean nearly as far forward as she did. But I really like the idea of my brother having PE homework to help empower my niece maintain her health goals. Our final presentation is from Nicole Mayo. She's studying an interdisciplinary program, and her presentation today will focus on a nutrition counseling program called Healthy You.
I know you've all been sitting for quite a while now, so I'm going to start by stretching your legs just a little bit. I want you to stand up if you have ever tried to get healthy. Go on. Now remain standing and think about that situation. Did you struggle? Did you have difficulties knowing what you needed to do or how to meet your goals? If the answer to either of these questions was yes, go ahead and sit back down. What you felt was normal. Oftentimes, when you try to make a lifestyle change, we end up quickly reverting back to our old unhealthy habits. In fact, 75% of people who set a fitness-related New Year's resolution this year will give up before they achieve their goals. And 25% of these people will have already given up the first week of January. Most people, especially if you've never tried to make a healthy lifestyle change before, may often feel a little lost when it comes to getting healthy, whether that be through exercise or a change in your diet. It's just there's so much information out there that it can become very confusing and frustrating, knowing what's right and what's wrong, which new fitness guru we should be following on Instagram, who's trying to help us, and who's just trying to make money off of us. And maybe it isn't you that needs to make a lifestyle change. But most of us can think of at least one person in our lives that can benefit from some weight loss or some healthy lifestyle guidance. Now, you've heard extensively about 100 Citizens today. So I'm going to be talking to you about the weight loss component I created to accompany 100 Citizens. I created Healthy You. After our participants exercise, they come and sit down with me for about 20 minutes or so, and we discuss weight loss strategies, nutritional concepts, and healthy lifestyle tactics, such as how to get a good night's sleep and how to manage stress. Healthy U runs for 10 to 14-week cycles and is currently at 5 out of our 6 parks as of this month. We monitor our participants' weight every 2 weeks to track progress and provide them with personalized counseling to suit their needs. Healthy U is based off of the CDC's National Diabetes Prevention Program, which serves the purpose of inducing modest weight loss in their overweight participants in order to reduce their risks for developing weight-related diseases. We determine which of our participants are at risk through their BMI. If their BMI, or body mass index, is 25 or more, they're given specific weight loss goals to follow, and we guide them in achieving those goals. Healthy U achieves weight loss through education. Our participants are already exercising with 100 citizens, yet many of them are still battling obesity. And this is because after they exercise with us, they return home and continue practicing the same habits that led them to becoming obese. I created Healthy U because it matters what you're doing with the other 23 hours of your day that you're not exercising. It matters what you're eating, how you're sleeping, and how you're responding to your environment. Our participants have already taken the first step just by joining 100 Citizens. Now Healthy U is their next step. The CDC program is catered towards individuals who are pre-diabetic, but Healthy U is available to anyone who wants to join, whether or not they're pre-diabetic or even overweight. Healthy U is for everyone because it benefits everyone. We enable our participants to take charge of their health and learn how to feel better. Now, feeling better can mean different things to different people. Feeling better could mean that you have more energy throughout the day, or that you're in a better mood. Feeling better could mean that you have less stress, less pain, or you're more capable of performing your daily activities. But the good news is that no matter what it means to you, all of these feel-good effects can be achieved through a healthy lifestyle. Healthy U also benefits our students. The kinesiology students here at Cal State Northridge are given teaching opportunities, as well as the opportunity to create connections with our participants. When I've asked our participants what they enjoy the most about the program and why they return, the #1 response has been the students. Finally, there's someone that they can trust, someone who can guide them. They can see that we truly care about them and are there to help them. But ultimately, we are here because more than 1/3 of Americans today are considered obese. The CDC defines obesity as an individual with a body mass index of 30 or more. Obesity puts an individual at a much greater risk for weight-related diseases such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even some forms of cancer. In fact, an obese person has a much greater risk for all-cause mortality when compared to an individual of a healthy weight. As our program is based out of the San Fernando Valley and South Los Angeles communities, we primarily deal with low-income Hispanics and African Americans. These populations have a much greater risk for disease, with 43% and 48% of them being considered obese. The weight loss goal of Healthy U follows that of the CDC, which is to induce 5 to 7% weight loss in total body weight. This has been shown by the CDC to reduce an individual's risk for developing type 2 diabetes by up to 58%. That's a huge reduction in risk, and with just a small amount of weight. 5 to 7%, that's only about 10 to 15 pounds for most of our overweight individuals. Not only is obesity dangerous for our health, but it's expensive. The yearly medical expenditures of an obese person are on average $1,400 more than that of an individual of a healthy weight. Think about what you can do with an extra $1,400 a year. As a student, I know exactly how far an extra $1,400 can stretch me. You can travel round trip to almost any country in the world. You can buy this 52-inch smart TV. You can buy not 1, but 3 hoverboards. every single year. But what's more important than having some extra money to spend is having extra years in your life to live and living independently during those years. That is something that can be achieved through Healthy You, through a healthy lifestyle, so that not only can you meet those New Year's resolutions, but you can maintain these healthy habits for the long run. With 100 Citizens and with Healthy You, we empower our students, we enliven our participants, and we engage our communities. Together, we can all have a bigger world. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. I've already done a fair amount of self-disclosure today about my own insecurity about failing in exercise goals and my grandmother's going to church goals. But I'm pretty motivated both by the idea of hoverboards and the idea that such a simple intervention like peer nutrition counseling could really help me with that. And I don't know about you all, but over the span of the presentations that we all saw today, I am motivated and inspired by the work and the research that our students are doing, and I'm very excited to see what they do with it from here, both to empower individuals and communities. And I think that we should give them one more round of applause and bring them all out here, your 2016 Thesis Talk participants. Thank you so much for coming out to our presentations this year, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Have a great rest of your day.